I got the door open. I apologize. If you want to close it, you can close it. I can't stand up, though. I can't stand up. And welcome to you and me. And I got to add me to the screen over here. All right, where did I go? Maybe this is only fitting. Is that the... there we go. What the heck happened there? Don't know. All right, we're here. I think I'm on. I'm not too sure. Let's go. I am on. I'm not on, though. You do? Oh, there we go. All right, good. That's good. It's a good thing then. All right, so here's the story. Let's go to comments over here. And maybe it's only fitting about like doing things like way too quickly, right? Where in the world does hey Rob, good to see you. Where in the world is that going for us? Are we hurting ourselves by going and doing things way too unbelievably quick? Oh, wait a second. That sounds inconsistent, doesn't it? Because I talk about doing things and not getting every little gory detail prepared before you do things. So doesn't that mean that we're going quickly? No, I don't really think so. Because we do need to do things intelligently. Hey, now there's a word for you. Maybe that's a word for 2022. Doing things intelligently, starting a project, not from square one, but from square 3, 5, 7. How do you do that? By starting slower and not just doing it, not just going out there and crazily doing something. A couple of examples. One, got on a comedy stage. I did my 8 or 10 minutes. I forget what it was. Did my 10 minutes on stage. Let's go for 10 minutes. There's a video floating around of that one. My first time getting on a comedy stage, a real comedy stage, and doing my 10-minute thing. You prepare for that. How did I prepare for that? Well, it was a long process. It really was. It was a matter of one, getting comfortable on stage. I think I just had a conversation with somebody back in college. What I did in college was I got comfortable on stage. I didn't really pay attention to that, but that's another topic. Maybe not. But in college, I was comfortable on stage, did that. Joined Toastmasters, got comfortable speaking, actually delivering some kind of a message out there. I was doing all these podcasts and podcasts at the time. That was Blog Talk Radio. So I was comfortable there. But the question is, and it was too, with Toastmasters, why I joined is I wanted to be more effective as a communicator. Well, how do you do that? Just call myself a motivational speaker, get up there and tell everybody what to do? Nope. You can't do that. You cannot do that. You cannot just get up in front of a room of people and say, hey, this is what you should do. No way. You got to have credibility behind you, designations and all the rest of that stuff, or a title if it's in business. And even then, sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes if it's, depending upon the company, the rest of that stuff, or you still always have a choice. If you don't want to listen to that person, you can always leave. So if everybody left after that person said that you're going to do something, that's not a good leader, is it? No, definitely not. So you can't just do that. You can't just get up there and say, okay, do this. Doesn't happen. You have to have credibility. Again, designations help. Title helps. Sincerity truly helps. Coming from a place of realism helps. That's what really helps. So when I did that comedy, it was coming from a place of realism. It wasn't the fact that I was going to be, the next comedy star. That is just not happening. No. In fact, the biggest laugh I got was when I told them I wasn't funny. I'll figure that out. But that wasn't it. It was that realistic standpoint, where I was coming from. So they saw I was genuine, maybe not funny, but genuine. And that counted for something. It means I lasted my 10 minutes. I didn't get that little white light and get shoot off the stage by the person operating the camera and coordinating the whole thing. But yeah, you had to have that credibility to get up there on stage and do it. So you do it. Comedy's a little different because you're not really sitting there talking about your credibility, but you have to have it from an inside in order for you to do it. And if you're going to lead a group of people, You best have that credibility. And it's not going to be something that's deep inside credibility. It's on the face of it credibility, which means it takes a lot of time to build that. No joking about that. It takes an awful lot of time to make that happen. Oh man, I got to take that call. So it takes an awful lot of time to make that happen. So how do you do that? You do it by being involved in different situations. You do it by getting involved and listening to and talking to other people about their stories. You do it by sharing your own experiences. You do it in a manner that is right for you. And if you want to be a motivational speaker, it's got to be there. Who's the best person in the world to motivate? Yourself. Absolutely positively yourself. That's the one. That's where it's got to start. You got to motivate yourself. How do you do that? Well, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you got to reach out to people, read books, watch audio tapes, do anything. Sometimes you do a podcast. And that's and that's part of the whole process too. Do it. Do it. So don't go terribly fast. Move along at a pace that's right for you. If it comes to anything that's a physical exercise, you know that. God, how many times have you seen these weekend warriors come back to work on Monday? Like, oh man, what did you do? Well, they overextended themselves, sprained something, whether because they were playing softball or football or whatever, running too far, running too fast. It takes preparation to do that. So ultimately, I do think that we are hurting ourselves by going way too quickly. And this includes a lot of other things too. Let's go with food. Food. We have so many diseases that are out there nowadays. Now, why is that? Is that because our doctors, medicine has gotten so much better at diagnosing things that we've been able to figure things out? I think they've improved quite a bit. I do think that that's a part of it. But I also wonder how much we're hurting ourselves by having everything fast food. Faster the better. Absolutely. Hey, man, that's great. I can go and eat dinner in 3 minutes. It's fantastic. I can even eat in the car while driving. I don't even have to slow down. Just pop them to one of these places, pick up the food, and do it. I'm not guilty of that one, but I certainly am guilty of eating at my desk, eating while working, not actually sitting down and enjoying the meal in and of itself. I was at one of the again, I'm not going to mention names of companies, the rest of that stuff, but I was at a meeting for people that were concerned about their weight, looking for different ways in order to lose that weight and remain in a healthy format. Here was the story, and I actually thought it was fascinating. Woman lives alone. I think she was a widower, but not that it really matters. But a woman lives alone, and when it came time for dinner, she set the table. She had flowers on the table. She even lit a candle every once in a while. Dinner was made, brought it down. She sat at the table, maybe even played some background music, and ate. And she actually sat there, took her time, and enjoyed her meal. Needless to say, this woman did not need to lose any additional weight. She looked very healthy, and she actually looked very happy. She slowed down and started to enjoy that moment, didn't rush into things. That perhaps has happened. I know when I put on weight, I was eating, well, actually, it was fast food time, wasn't it? Yes, it was. I was eating in the car, fast food. I was a French fry expert at every fast food place. Yep, I ate quite a bit of them, and I had the extra poundage on my body to show for that. And I actually have a video of that someplace too. One of my friends who was into the weight loss, she was interviewing people, and I did an interview with her online, long, long, long time ago, about that whole thing, about how I put on the weight. So did that, and that was a factor in putting on the weight. Second time around too. First time was I quit smoking and started eating. Then whatever, saw the light, changed that up around. Then this other long commute thing was getting to me too. So I was eating to stay awake. Terrible. Change that around to eating just without thinking. That thoughtless eating, mindless eating is when you're sitting on the computer and just eating away. That's not good. It's not good. So slow down. Slow down. Do what that woman does. Slow down. You want to have a snack? Have a snack, but go into another room. Have a snack. Enjoy that snack. Maybe I should try doing that too. Eating dinner. Sit down someplace and enjoy that meal. Hey, maybe you'll actually taste the food instead of just sucking it down. There's something to be said with that one. And then the food, from the standpoint, is food hurting us? Are we weakening our bodies by doing all this stuff? I got a feeling that answer is yes. Can I prove it? No. Not a doctor, not a nutritionist. I have no say, no medical background in any of that stuff. I have no medical credibility in that world. But I do wonder. Yeah, every once in a while I do wonder. I do wonder if we're hurting ourselves long term, hurting ourselves with the fact that everything is pre-prepared. And it just seems like it's everything that's pre-prepared. Or if it's not, we're tossing it in a microwave to heat it up. Guilty of that one too. I remember back in the day, years ago, you know, everybody was home for dinner, ate dinner. It was a dinner that was made, cooked, all the rest of that stuff, thrown in the oven, that kind of thing. It's different there. So here's the other one too. What about stress? What is that doing to us? How much are we adding it to our lives that perhaps is above and beyond what we really should be doing when it comes to adding stress, right? I mean, how crazy is that as to what we're doing? So the question there is, how do we reduce stress? Oh, and that could be a show in and of itself, and it probably has been and should be and could be and will be something to get tossed in the equation. You know why? Because we add to it. Oh, and again, I got to get a mirror. I know my wife's listening to this. I got to get one of those mirrors. Look in the mirror moment over here. You know, how do I, yeah, you know what? How do I reduce stress? Actually, it's by doing this. Even though every once in a while I get on here, it's like, trying to get the thing started. What am I going to talk about? What are we doing? And I've been doing this now, actually, one more month, 2 years, 2 years every weekday for 30 minutes, mostly at 1 o'clock. You notice today was not 1 o'clock. Today was 2 o'clock. Had a thing I had to deal with that gets tossed into it. That's stress, isn't it? It definitely falls into that stressful category. Finding time for ourselves. Oh, what a thought that is. Where's that? Don't know. What about exercising a little bit? Whatever it might be. Doesn't have to be anything extreme, but just sometimes, some alone time, something, in there. We get a chance to just kind of focus in what you want to focus in on. And look, if you're doing the right thing for work, if you're one of those entrepreneurs that are really doing what you really should be doing, you might find it incredibly enjoyable to write an article about your industry, about the growth of your company, about how you've gone through and challenged yourself and moved through something and achieved a goal, and start writing about that, starting your own blog or doing a video like this. If you're really doing what you really love to do, you're going to find that enjoyable, and you're going to find that to be an escape. Maybe it's an escape from the other side of running a business, doing the accounting side of it, the prospecting, the figuring out the exact marketing strategy that goes along with it, inventory, all these other kinds of things, dealing with and managing employees, finding the right employee. It's been something there. Talking with customers, the good customers and the more challenging customers. What do you do to get away from that? It's still business related. Could very well be writing a blog. Easy enough to do. And it actually can be easy enough to do. Take it slow. Take it slow. What are you going to write about? What do you do? Here's a good way of actually creating a daily business plan. Perhaps your blog or podcast, or maybe it develops into a marketing plan as you go along. And it's kind of simple. And here's what it is: jot down notes on certain things that stand out in your day. Now, if you're thinking about doing a blog, right? You know what you're an expert in, so you could jot that down. That shouldn't take terribly long to go and do, but jot that down. But if you want to look at things from a customer standpoint, anytime a customer asks you a question, jot that down. Just jot down the question And of course, deal with the customer, give the answer to the rest of that stuff. That, my friends, is something you could write about. That's something you could talk about if you're going to do a podcast or if you can do a blog. Easy enough to do. If you're having challenges with something else in the business, write that down. I'm having a challenge with managing inventory, just to pick something up. You can go and you could listen to any one of these podcasts that are out there. You just go on that topic. Who knows? Maybe you'll find a very unique way of helping you manage your manage your inventory, where you're then able to manage your business more effectively, which in turn does help to reduce all kinds of stress, does it not? Yeah, I think it does. So that becomes something, also that you could do. There's tons of ways of getting information, and when you're out there and you do that kind of stuff, now when you sit down on Monday and think, oh, I got to write a blog. I want to write an article every day. Every day of the week, somebody suggests, oh, you should be consistent in your social media posts. How many times have we heard that? And you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do? Oh, the stress on that is unbelievable. And then you remember, wait a second, I've been keeping this book. I got this book, right? And this book has got all my little things in it. Those customer questions that I've been getting over the past week, month, year, however long you've spent the time slowing down in order to prepare for something. You got all that information in there, all those customer questions. That's great. Now you could do it. Figure out your own comfort level on either the blog or a podcast, and that becomes the length of time. How long do you want to do it for? Well, if you're just getting started, go short. Doesn't have to be long. You could do a 2-minute video. Fine. Now, if you're uncomfortable doing a video, easy enough to fix that one too. You could always practice. Go get yourself a camera. You got a camera in your phone. That's easy enough to do. You got cameras in your computer. Easy enough to do. And just kind of practice it out. Just do a couple of things. Figure out if you want to do, use a room setting, a living room setting, an office setting, whatever. Whatever. Do it. And if you're having a challenge with it, you know what? You could always go to some studio someplace and do these things. Don't want to spend a lot of money? Not really budgeting a lot of money for it? Easy enough to do too. So here's what you do. You go and prepare a lot of these things, and you've got your customer questions already, right? Just do 2-minute videos. Leave yourself ample time from one video to the next, and then just do a whole series of 2-minute videos. Pretty simple to do, because you're now responding to that question as if you were speaking to the client. It's the same thing. You're just talking about what it is that you know on camera. Prefer to write? You can do that too. You could get one of these things where you speak into it and then it translates it, it writes it out for you on the computer. Fantastic. So you don't even have to type. Prefer to type? Type. Prefer to write? Write. You can always find somebody to put this into a computer and to rewrite it for you. That might be something that you want to take a look into, because you want your words to come out properly in written form. I think it's more important, my opinion. I think it's more important to have it edited if you're writing rather than have it edited if you're speaking. And I'm not sure everybody's going to agree with me on that one, but this is coming from my thinking, and it could very well be because I could speak better than I could write. And if you're writing and it's confusing, it's a waste of time. Also, if you write something, you lose that inflection stuff. I mean, a comma, a period, a question mark in the wrong spot might change things up a little bit. You don't have that when you're speaking. Yeah, it's maybe you got some run-on sentences. That's very possible. I'm sure I have a few of them, but you don't see the period. So how do you know it's a run-on sentence? Now, you do have to pause every so often, breathe, which is nice, and they get it that way. But I think what's easier to come through when you're speaking is your authenticity. You know, your sincerity, all that time that you spent working on whatever it is, the knowledge that you have when you emphasize something, or when you know that something might be a little bit more complicated for the viewer to comprehend, you know to wait. and to give them a chance to think. And don't speak too quickly. And don't speak over them when they're thinking. It's another lesson to be learned. Now, if you're doing this in a studio and you bring your 20 questions that you've gotten and you've got the studio for, I don't know, you might be able to get that done in 2 hours, probably three, because there's a few things to do in there. Now, your sincerity, your inflection, the rest of that stuff, your credibility, your authenticity will come out. And that might be a lot to do because you definitely don't want, unless if you're wearing a company logo shirt, you could certainly wear the same clothes throughout the whole thing. If you don't wear a company logo shirt, you got to change your shirt every so often or your outfit every so often. This way, it doesn't look like you taped everything all at the same time. But you can get a lot of help to do that. So maybe that is another way of going out and doing what you should be doing, which is sharing your knowledge. So think about that as you're going through your day. What are you doing that's perhaps done too quickly and should be focused on a bit more in a slower manner? Will you take a step back? Oh, there's another analogy for you. Will you take a step back, get a little bit of help from somebody, find out, hey, what would you do in this situation? Or how would you handle this? Or what do you think of the way I'm doing something? It's easy. It's easy to get opinions from different people. You've got so many seminars that are taking place, webinars that are taking place, different podcasts that you could listen to. There's there's different groups that you could join that are business development groups that of all different sorts for different kinds of companies and different kinds of situations that you could go and become a part of to get different ideas and share your own ideas with other people too. Because that's another great way to learn is by sharing your own thoughts with others. Because then you too will get a chance to take a look in the mirror and say, I've said it, I've told other people to do that, but I've never really done it myself. Maybe I should. Maybe I should. Look, one of the ways I got started doing to breaking much more into a routine. And some days I don't get that routine going. Today I just happen to be one of those routines that kind of fell by the wayside. And then all of a sudden it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm an hour beyond where I really wanted to be. That was not too good. So get up, I do my actually I've been going over to shul in the morning, doing that on an ongoing basis, more and more on an ongoing basis, not every day. But getting the exercise in the morning, that really became important for me to do. Didn't do it this morning. Then all of a sudden it was 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock I did it. Well, 12 o'clock became 12:30, 12:20 actually to be exact. I was like, okay, well, I could do that 30 minutes. I do a ride on a bike and I'll be here for 30 minutes. I could do that and then do this. Well, then all of a sudden that didn't really work out. Some other thing kind of fell in over there. So I was like, that's not good. But thinking back on it yesterday, I had played a replay, a rebroadcast of a prior show. Well, you know what? That might not be a bad move. So I could always have in the can a show to play at 1 o'clock just in case I can't go on live. An idea. Another idea would be to pre-record guests, right? It's you and I. We could do a recording. I could have it over here and then play it out at 1 o'clock on that day or a day going forward. And you want to know something? It's actually less stressful to do as opposed to going on live each time. And the other side of it is the fact that I can now work around the guest schedule, do that, and have these things here so I could play them out. So that's fine. Maybe even listen in with you so I could address your questions that might come up in one of the message centers. You know, uh, that's easy enough to go and do, and also promote it. So why am I going live? That's a good question. You know why? Because for me, this is a little bit of a break from the day. This is a fun thing for me to do. This is I find to be energizing throughout my week to make this thing happen. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing it. And if I really was challenged doing the thing, and it was really like, wow, what am I doing? And 1 o'clock passed, I probably would have skipped the 1 o'clock and just moved right on out, and said, forget it. I missed it. Couldn't do it. Well, you always can do it. And if we slow down and think about it and not just do everything right at the last moment, I think we can get a lot more done by going slower in order to go faster. That's another movie quote. We'll give that one. Days of Thunder. That was with Tom Cruise. Days of Thunder. He's ripping around the racetrack. I think it was Daytona. Not that it really makes a difference, but he's flying around the racetrack and he's going as fast as he possibly can at the wrong time. And he was completely burning up his car, all the tires, everything. It was just it was sliding all over the place. And his coach, who was, was talking to him with a headset, and he's going, told him to slow down, because if you slow down, you will ultimately go faster. Because the trick, the trick. Now you get, I'm not exactly a car racer over here, and I do know I did one of these go-kart race things. I had a fun time doing it. We had an hour in the cart. Hour. Let me tell you, an hour is a long time. It's a long time to be racing in a go-kart. And these were 45-mile-an-hour go-karts. It was a parking lot in Englishtown, New Jersey, over at the drag strip that they have. Wow, wouldn't it be nice to have go-kart racing over here too? Possible. We'll see. But I was in that cart for probably about a half hour straight at one point in time. And I was exhausted doing this thing. But I kept getting past. I mean, I did okay, but I kept getting past. And I was trying to figure out how. And it seemed that when I was going into the turns, especially this one particular turn, because you had to go back and forth. But when I was going into the turns, I was catching up to them. But when we started going faster again down the straightaway, it was way in front of me, way in front of me. And you want to know, the go karts were the same. It was the same engine. It wasn't that anything was different than anything else. The only thing that was different was him and me. And that was the difference. He knew to come into those turns slower, so he was able to start accelerating out of the turns faster than I was. And his cart didn't push as much as mine did, on these turns. And I'm sure it was a little bit more than just getting on the gas earlier. Probably was coming out of the turn at the proper angle and things like that. But I'm sitting there, I'm flying into these things, jamming on the brakes and trying to make it in there to catch up to him for that split second. Not good. Not good. I learned. Got a little bit better. Love to do that again. Like to do that out here in Riverhead. Oh, wouldn't that be fun? Hey, who knows? Maybe that's there. So here's my final comment. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Take it easy. And then figure out what it is that you need to do. Establish the credibility. Make it happen that way. And then share those stories. Even if you flub something someplace, you want to know something? People will see that you really care, and then they'll work through it. That's going to be an important factor in what you are doing, in what you are saying, and how you are approaching customers, networking partners, all the rest of that stuff. Because it is so true. People really want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. Your sincerity, your credibility, and your clarity as to who you are will really help to make that happen. And you know how to do that by speaking well, speaking often, and living inspired.